Hey, everybody, it's Jimmy and Bill. Bill, what we're talking about today is I did some research. I've been, obviously, when we do these videos, I do some research onto them to pick up the topics and see what people are talking about. And there's so many videos about Florida and how Florida is basically screwed going forward, like especially in 2025.
Right.
So, like if you go into YouTube and you put, living in Florida, moving to Florida, and listen, before everybody starts commenting in the I know that we make some negative videos, okay? But there some of it is negative and some of it is very positive, okay? But we just tell our opinions of what we think about what it's like living in Florida. I lived here for a long time. Bill was raised in Florida. That's all. Bill pretty much all he knows is Florida, you know.
Exactly.
So he's a realtor. I'm a home inspector. We started this channel to give our opinions, on a lot of stuff. But I started going down these videos and I started writing down the titles and watching some of these videos and see what people are talking about. And some of them I agree with. Some of them I disagree with. And that's what we're going to talk about today. It was like, are these people just making videos to get views? And I do understand that, okay? Because somebody's going to say, well, you just make videos to get views. And, you know, honestly, I make video. I want people to watch our videos. And don't get me wrong, I definitely do. And I want you guys to share, subscribe, and it really helps out the channel. But I just feel that I want to give my opinion. Bill wants to give his opinion, and the other guests that we have on this channel give their opinion. And sometimes we talk about things that hurts home inspection business or hurts real estate business. And that's what we do for a living. And it's not like we do it part-time. We do it full-time. I'm a full-time home inspector. Bill's a full-time realtor. So it's not like we have other jobs that we're just, playing with. So that's what we're talking about today, Bill.
All
This
right.
list of videos.
This should be good.
All right. So, like I said before, do me a favor, subscribe. It really does help the channel. Okay. Bill, more and more videos are coming out about climate change, okay? Rising sea levels, extreme weather events, threaten infrastructure, ecosystem. And, we just went through a really bad hurricane season and, doom and gloom. And it's like, but at the same time, yes, we had a bad couple of years of hurricanes, but before that, at least in our area, it was like 31, 32 years since. So, we have a
Yeah,
hurricane.
give or take.
Can we have a hurricane next week? Or, I mean, this next season or 10 years from now? Yes. What do you think, Bill? You've been living here your whole life. Have you been hearing this your whole life?
Yes. So when you start talking, climate change, rising sea levels, if you think back to like when I was in middle school and high school, they were talking about rising sea. I mean, Florida should be underwater by now. It should the whole continental United States should look differently, but it doesn't. It still looks exactly like it did when I was
Yeah.
growing up. I still go to the beach in the same spots. The pier is still, in the same spot, and the water is still in the same spot at the pier. So, do I think that there's some truth to it? Of course I do. I mean, obviously we're only getting what we see on the news and through, social media and things like that now, or what's written in a book. But is the water rising so fast that, even, your kids are going to have to worry about it? Probably not. Based on what I've seen and been told since I was growing up.
Well, here's the thing, too. Hurricanes do damage. I mean, 2 years ago, we went to St. Augustine. I just got back from St. Augustine, and there was no beach left. Literally, the water was hitting the seawall. Now, we
Right.
just got back a couple of days ago from St. Augustine. They put sand back in. I guess they go out in the Gulf, grab sand from under the water and bring it in, put it in. Now, the beach is bigger than I've ever seen it before. you know?
Right. I mean, erosion is a real thing. whether it's from a storm that just, kind of like look at, Three Rooker and some of our barrier islands here, closer to Pasco and Pinellas County. Those have changed. Hurricane Pass is open up now, I think.
Yeah. Three
And,
rookers is one rooker now.
yeah, now it used to be three, now it's one. It's super shallow in a couple spots. It's been broken up, and sand got moved and placed into other spots. So that's the power of the storm. Those are the things that shape things. But has that always done that? Of course it has. Every storm that we've had, whether it was Hurricane Elena back in '85-ish, I believe that one was, and then we had the No Name Storm. It just didn't get made. It didn't, they didn't give it a name. That's why they called it No Name Storm, but it did a ton of flooding and devastation, and that was in the 90s.
Yeah, and this one was even worse. So let's talk about that. Okay, people are saying that Florida's screwed because of all the hurricane damage, and I'll give you my 2 cents, and you could put in your 2 cents. Yes, a lot of homes were damaged, and a lot of homes were damaged really bad that they didn't reach what's called the 50% rule, so they have to bring up to today's standards. But here's what I think is going to happen in the future. All these homes that are ranches and sitting on the water, and I never recommend to buy a ranch on the water because I always recommend to make sure you're at a high elevation, just buying any home. I don't care if it's on the water or inland. But I think 10, 15, 20 years from now, all these homes will pretty much be gone and everything will be on stilts or reach today's codes. So I think when a hurricane happens, there's going to be a lot less damage. Let me explain why. Because
future damage.
What? Less
in
damage.
The future.
In the future.
Right. So similar to Katrina that devastated the Miami-Dade metro area.
Right. Well, yeah, I wasn't here for that, but talk about that and the improvements that they made, and now it's less damaging. Katrina would do less damaging to that area.
Correct. Yeah, that was horrible. Absolutely. I mean, that was. I know everybody compares dollar amounts and everything, but we're talking storm, something that's more than 20 years ago. Compared to today. So prices of things are completely different. So when we're not talking monetary amounts, we're just talking physical damage. And that hurricane was absolutely devastating, to the Homestead area. I'm pulling this off memory. So, and it was very widespread, right? So, but that really forced Florida to relook at their construction codes, their building codes, and reinforce things. So that's when we started doing straps and hurricane straps and tie downs and clips and things of that nature. And how we build things it really changed the face of how we build stuff now so that it can withstand those storms. And then we don't have this crazy devastation. I mean, we even changed, the soffits. We moved things back. It used to have 16 and 18 inches. Now it's back significantly because it changes how much uplift there is on the house, versus a gable or a hip roof. So that all that stuff makes a big difference.
That's why, we did a video. Me and Bill did a video. You guys should check it out. How to pick a perfect home in Florida, because like even in my house, I made sure the elevation is good, even though there's water behind my house, a retention pond. Mm-hmm. I made sure it was a hip roof. I made sure I had impact windows. I crossed all the checks. And now when there's a hurricane coming, every hurricane is dangerous. Every hurricane could do damage. Mm-hmm. But I feel more confident in my house because I made the wise choices. And I think in the future, people, these houses are going to be improved to the point that we're going to be a lot safer in Florida when it comes to storms.
Yeah, and I think we already are to an extent. Obviously, the coastal communities are going to be the ones that are the most at risk for anything, and they always will be. It doesn't matter how strong or how big you build the buildings. They're going to be the ones that are at the most risk because they're on the water, and that's how the storms come. Now, I'm not saying storms can't cut across the center of the state and do damage, but I'm saying that, because that starts to weaken the storm and limit the damage. And then, what was it, Irma that cut through the center of the state and kind of went up the Orlando route, kind of down the center.
Yeah, there's no safe spot in Florida.
No, and it's not just Florida. There's other states that hurricanes affect as well. So, it's just, you just have to be prepared for those things. And that's why building codes have changed. And that's why it's important to make sure things are built correctly. And that's why we have inspectors and, the county inspectors and the building code enforcement and things like that, so that people are safe.
Yeah.
That's
So
what it
let's
boils
talk
down
about
to.
this one. People are saying Florida's going to be screwed in the coming years because of just rising housing costs. Growing demand and limited supply make housing unaffordable for many residents. So my 2 cents is it's a true that's a true statement in the sense that we are having an affordability crisis in Florida when it comes to housing. And I think that prices have to come down. Okay. And it's not just the cost of houses, it's the cost of insurance, the cost of taxes. But a lot of people are doing videos, including us, that Florida is not affordable anymore. What do you think of housing cost?
Well, it depends on how you want to define affordable. Do you mean like affordable as in you're going to move here so you can save money? Affordable? Because, like the retirement destination, if you will, like it used to be dubbed. Those days are over. I just don't, there's not too many places that you can go in Florida where it's more affordable because it's a small, sleepy town per se. Because all those small, sleepy towns, the word gets out and then,
And that's
now it's not a small, sleepy town anymore.
Right.
So, but as far as housing affordability goes, no, houses are priced up. That's why the builders have switched over, some of their projects going for the more higher end homes and building first more of the, let's call them entry level homes, first time buyer type homes, second home, move up buyer, things like that, because there are areas here in Florida that are growing, Riverview is an example, Wesley Chapel, Dade City, San Antonio, all that stuff's right around here in Pasco County and Hillsborough County. That's the Tampa Bay area. And same thing in like Manatee County. But, it's the retirement dream of coming to Florida and it's super affordable is really probably gone. And until interest rates come down a little bit, start to stabilize more, but we're in the upper sixes, like 6.9-ish, depending, on credit in the day, but we're getting back into more of a normal, and that's not a horrible interest rate if you look back through history.
No.
And I'm not talking like the history of 1985. There was 13% interest.
12%.
Yeah, I'm not talking. I'm talking history like pre-COVID.
Plus,
history.
the houses were a lot cheaper back then.
Yeah, in 85, yeah. But I mean, I'm talking more recent times. Mm-hmm. Yes, have we had a spike in, home values? Of course we have. It's crazy, 40 to 50 some odd percent in certain areas. But we're also not having, the numbers aren't completely out and official yet, but, the growth over the year has been, significantly less. And, we're in prediction season, of course. So they're saying that the home values are still going to increase because they are. That's just, it's
okay. So that's kind of a true statement. I agree with you on that. So, okay, what about this one? People are saying 2025 is going to be a bad year for Florida because infrastructure issues, rapid population growth, outpacing development of roads, public transportation, utilities, overcrowding, in certain areas. Like, I'll give you an example where I live. I live in a place called Trinity, outside Tampa, and they are building, including where you are, okay? They are building like crazy, but I don't think the roads can handle it. Like, I know when I'm driving to your house and then I go by the outlet stores there that they built and all that stuff, I already know there's going to be a freaking traffic jam just to get there. And it's not like they built the roads, but even 5 lanes that they have there in certain areas, I'm still sitting in traffic. And I just don't know if, like certain areas here now that they're putting roads on top of roads, like they did on US 19, which is What do you think? Overbuilding is going to screw Florida. It's going to screw Wesley Chapel. It's going to screw the road system.
No, I think they're building schools. There's some complaints, particularly with the One City project, where they're not building enough schools. But obviously, I'm connected with the fire department because that was my previous career and retired. But they're bringing on, Pasco County's bringing on an entirely new shift. A fourth shift of firefighter paramedics, and which is good. I mean, that's thousands of people. And this isn't like overnight, obviously. This is, over years, but that's part of that planning process for the growth that's happening in San Antonio, Dade City, Pasco, or Wesley Chapel, parts of Pasco County, and other areas, right? Because we need that. The more people we get, the more taxes are paid, and that's how these things are paid for. Infrastructure wise, we did switch out. We changed that the road that you referenced, the 275 area out by the outlet malls, and with the way they've laid that out, it's kind of funky, but
Very
it
funky.
really but it's,
Reminds
I
me of
mean,
Ireland. I'm driving the opposite
yeah,
side.
yeah, because you feel like you're going into It's weird. I'll fly a drone semi close to it so you can see it maybe one day. And lately you've been kind of, because it's the holidays, so I mean it's season right now for the malls. Obviously, the holidays are over. We're at the beginning of the new year, but it's still popular because it's travel time. But the traffic really wasn't that horrible, and it does flow pretty smooth. The problem is,
Bill, you have to admit that before it was like, okay, in the winter we had traffic, in the summer everybody's gone, the snowbirds are gone, and we didn't have any real traffic. We always had traffic, but not real. But now it just seems like traffic is here at least in the Tampa Bay area, Fort Lauderdale and Miami, it's just always here.
yeah, I think there's definitely more people here. You still see the influx during snowbird season here.
Yeah, yeah.
Of course, I mean, that's hands down a noticeable difference. And I also started hearing the horn. So that's a key that the snowbirds are down, because everybody likes to use their horn at a red light.
And and they don't know how to drive, basically a lot of people here. All right, what about this one? People are saying 2025 is going to, and going forward, is going to be bad years for Florida because environmental degradation, pollution, urban sprawl harm Florida's natural beauty and ecosystem. Water shortages, overdevelopment, and droughts strain fresh water resources. What do you think of, people saying that basically the influx of people were pretty much destroying Florida?
Starting with the water issue, I mean, that's kind of been a thing for a really long time. Pulling from the aquifers and pumping into Pasco and Pinellas counties. From like up in Zephyr Hills and things like that. Zephyr Hills is the real
big issue. I agree with that one. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then obviously if we're building, we're taking up, nature, basically. The builders do a pretty good job now of maintaining a certain amount of green space, which is nice to see when you drive through these new planned communities. But at the end of the day, there's still roads, and they mowed down some forest. But at the same time, as long as we're doing it as eco-friendly as possible, you can't have your cake and eat it too. If you want to have a house, there's human beings to take care of or not. We have to decide. Because everyone that says don't kill the forest, they all live in a house. Majority of them live in a house. I'm sure some people live out, in the wilderness and things like that, and that's fine. And people are creative, and I think there's so much more awareness to, our ecology and things like that, that it's way better than it used to be. I'm talking like in the 80s, 70s, 60s, back when, there was a real boom. They would just mow stuff down, and it's not sustainable that way.
Right. I agree with you. So, I mean, they really, but if you go in the middle of Florida and stuff right now, there's still, I just drove to St. Augustine. There's still plenty of wilderness. Like you won't
Drive
believe.
20 minutes outside of Wesley Chapel and you won't see a human being for 30, 40 minutes.
Yeah. Okay. What about this one? Okay. This is a big issue. A lot of people are doing videos on this one. Okay. And I don't know what the solution is. High insurance rate, increased risk in natural disasters, driving up property and cost. Insurance, basically insurance between housing and car insurance is ridiculous. And not for nothing, but right now it's kind of becoming normal that your homeowners insurance and your property taxes are probably the same or more than your actual mortgage payment. But what do you think of the insurance issue?
Well, auto insurance in Florida has always been an issue. It's always been high, and it's just continuing to increase and increase and increase. It's ridiculous, and I know we can get into this debate because we've had before, off camera and stuff, but, it's like, you knock on wood, I haven't had an accident, but my insurance continues to just climb and climb and climb and climb and climb. And we all know it's because of all the accidents, uninsured motorists, and things like that that we're paying for. And it's the wealth is going to get shared amongst other individuals. So that's going to take a legislative type of thing, kind of what they did with the homeowners insurance, reducing all the roof fraud and things like that. They put measures into place to keep people from quadrupling what they're getting paid out for a roof claim, as an example, and basically extorting money from the insurance companies.
Oh yeah, fraud. A lot of it has to do with fraud. I think I'm the only person on my block that actually paid for my roof. I paid for my roof. I didn't file an insurance claim on a 20-year-old roof. I think everybody else did, and people call me out on that. They're like, "Well, my roof, I was like, "No, your roof was just." I'm a home inspector. Your roof is just worn out. It's 24 years old, and
right.
And this article's coming out now that they're not even going to have asphalt roofs in Florida anymore because it just can't put up with the sun anymore.
Honestly, I don't know why we still have asphalt roofs. To
be
quite honest, there's so many other products out there.
Metal, or what's called TPO, or something different than asphalt. And a lot of insurance companies aren't crazy about asphalt.
Right, but it's cheap and easy to put on. But I mean, they had products back when I was in school that was better than asphalt, and it's just same thing with like porous concrete. They have a porous concrete. I went to an expo at USF. This is back when this is probably 20 plus years ago, and they had porous concrete to where it solves a lot of the drainage issues because the water doesn't go into a drain and then go into a perk pond. It naturally goes through the concrete, which is kind of a filter, and then it distributes out. So it really limits. It's expensive, but it limits a lot. It solves some of those flooding issues.
Oh,
it probably raises some other issues, but
I have an asphalt roof. I agree that it's not meant for Florida with this heat and stuff. 30-year shingle, you'll be lucky to get 15 years, before the insurance company starts complaining. But here, I'll do a little bit of a rapid fire. Other people are doing videos of why they're saying Florida is not the place to. It's going downhill. Political polarization. Which, come on.
Well, whatever.
Whatever. That could change from year to year.
Yeah.
Healthcare access. Some people are doing videos on. I think Florida really has good healthcare access, in my opinion.
I traveled in the healthcare industry for quite a while, and Florida does. There's certain things in Florida that stink, and there's certain things in Florida that are great. But overall, we do have a very robust healthcare system here, and the access to services is ridiculous. But we also have a high demand for those services.
Absolutely. So other people are saying, well, job market instability. I think that's true everywhere.
That's everywhere. I would agree with that.
We already talked about traffic congestion, and they're trying to improve roads, but just it's certain areas.
Yep.
Wildlife conflicts. People do videos on wildlife. I literally have bobcats in my backyard sleeping. And I have coyotes in my backyard, and I literally sometimes at 2:00 in the morning because they're sleeping next to my house. I got to go outside and tell them shut up. So I can go back to sleep because they hear a fire truck and they're howling, and they're literally laying on the side of my house.
Yeah.
They don't, and it's just these problems that they keep talking about Florida, it's going downhill. You could just take the name out Florida and put Ohio, put out Colorado, put out Texas, California, and come on, I could do a negative video about California and Texas and New York, and that could be a mile long, just like this one.
Right. Well, and sometimes we're our own worst enemies.
Right.
Think about this. So, look at the demographic from the stats that came out for insurance. Because insurance is a huge thing here. Well, why does Florida lead the nation in fraudulent claims? Why does Florida lead the nation? And I'm not talking by a little bit. We're talking a lot. Lead the nation in lawsuits to get the insurance, to where people are suing your insurance company, and it doesn't have to be fraud to sue your insurance company. I'm just talking that they've had to file a lawsuit to get thetheir insurance to pay for something. Whether it's, I'm not talking, like I said, I'm not talking fraud.
That's politicians' faults. That's politicians. It's just, it's all, I mean, it's just stupid. But I'm just saying, there's no perfect place to live. But when people are stating that, oh, it's the end of Florida, I think it's kind of far fetched. I think 20 years from now they'll be still saying videos, about Florida's downfall. Yes, Florida's
Yep.
changing, but so is every other state. Maybe not Wyoming because I go there all the time, but still 500,000 people. But think about it. We have millions of people just in our area right here, and the whole state of Wyoming, that's huge, has 500,000 people. So it is what it is. But I mean, that's today's video. You guys tell us. What do you guys think? Is Florida screwed in 2025 and going forward? Or you think it's just a bunch of fluff and people just want you to watch videos? What do you think, Bill?
Well, of course, people want you to watch their videos. I get that. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's about just being, I haven't seen all of those videos, but it's about producing conversation and invoking thoughts, right? And thinking about things and then commenting, which is awesome because then we get some different ideas and some different perspectives on stuff, which I really, really like when, our viewers do comment and stuff like that. It's pretty cool. But Florida's not, a sinking ship any different than other areas. And, we've always had hurricanes and we always will. We've always had beach erosion. We always will. And our population will continue to grow just like in most other places.
Yeah, I agree.
Let's stop suing everybody over, a scratched fender. And I'm just going to be real on this, let's stop suing everybody over everything under the sun here in Florida. And then maybe some of our insurance rates will come down, or at least stabilize. Like if you blink at somebody, they're going to sue you. And, maybe some laws need to change around that too.
Yeah, I agree. Anyways, that's today's video. Do me a favor, consider subscribing. It really helps out the channel. It's greatly appreciated. And again, let us know if you like this new format, or we're going to do videos, outdoors too once it gets a little bit warmer. But it was, the holidays and stuff. So, we found that this would have been easier. We want to bring you quality videos every week. Thank you, and I really appreciate it. And we'll talk to you in the next video.
See you on the next video. Thanks for watching.